Do you personally get one of these every month?
I personally, yes.
You do? Well, everyone? Like, or do you have to like tell them I
You
want
don't
one of
already?
A bank statement?
You get it every month.
these? I
Yes.
don't get one.
And your
Well,
parents
that's-
have
Your parents
a
probably
bank
get it.
account?
Oh, okay, yeah, my mom probably gets it.
Okay, yeah, so if your parent's name is on it and then you're just a name on that account, it probably goes to mom. Exactly. Otherwise, they might, if you sign up for a paperless, they might just send it to you in your online account. But you can, like right now, I could go to my bank and push online account and get my last one to come up. Okay? So, we had bills, we had subscriptions and stuff, we had interest, which would be a good one, and then another one might be some kind of fee. So if you had a debit card fee, or just a banking fee, meaning you had to pay for online banking through your bank. I don't know if you have to do that in some places. Okay? Your overdrawn fee, right? If you ran out of money for that month, you might have a fee for that. Okay? Those are all things that you might not know about until the end of the month, when you actually get this statement. And then you're going to go through and look at it. Okay? So, notice here on my page 101, notice at the very top, it says balance brought forward, the deposits, the checks, and other charges. So basically, if you notice here, the checks and other charges were about $1,170, and you had a deposit of $884, so that's right there, roughly minus $300. And then you had $600 in there, so roughly you ended up with $300 as I showed you. Everybody see that? Then notice the next section is checks. Again, we kind of went through that. You guys probably aren't in that. You probably don't have any of those, but they would list them. And notice then, as they went through this, every time that they had a check, there's a check number. And if it went through on the bank, notice what they did. They put a little check mark next to it. So they're checking that the statement that they got in the mail was the same thing that you already thought that you did on your own register at home. So every time that that check went through, or whatever it is, your phone bill, your electric bill, your paying whatever, you would check that off. If you have an outstanding check, that means it didn't go through yet. So for instance, Tiff owed me money, so she wrote me a check. But it was at the end of the month, or the end of her cycle, and I hadn't cashed it yet. Then it would just skip over that number. If you notice here, the checks went 72, 73, 74, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then over here, see how it went from 79 to 82? On the right-hand side there? That means number 80 and 81 just haven't gone through the bank yet. So maybe, like I said, Tiff gave it to me and I haven't deposited the check or cashed the check yet. Maybe she paid her electric bill and it was at the end of the cycle, so it hasn't gone through yet. Not that she hasn't paid it, it's just outstanding, it hasn't been done yet. Okay? And then notice at the very bottom, you had an ATM withdrawal and you had a service charge. A service charge, again, would be some kind of like a fee or using your card kind of thing. But this would show every single time on your bank statement. And you can check it off. So if you turn the page to 102, on the back of this statement, you would be given this little section right here in, I think it was yellow. Okay? Now, do you have to use this? Heck no, you don't have to use this. But they kind of give you the same thing right here. So if you wanted to like practice this, you could do this on your own statement, but it's essentially what they gave you in that yellow thing. All right? And it basically takes you through it. And so it says, ending balance from your bank statement, add total outstanding deposits. An outstanding deposit would be, okay, at the end of the month, Easton got a check from his grandma for his birthday, so he was gonna put that into as an account. Well, it's at the end of the month, and when he put it in, the bank statement was already in the mail, so they didn't know about it. That would be an outstanding deposit. So I would write that down here. And notice, outstanding deposits, I'm gonna add back in to my account, or my number. So basically, again, I'm trying to get my two things to be the exact same number. The statement that came to me in the mail, and the statement that I have at home right now. Again, now, you're probably not real concerned about this as much, because one, somebody's gonna bail you out if you have some trouble right now. Mom, dad, grandpa, grandma, something like that. But the other thing is you might not check this a whole lot because you can always do it on your phone, on the online stuff. So this would be kind of in the back in the day kind of thing. And then notice here, when it says subtract outstanding checks, those are the checks again that haven't gone through the bank. But I'm going to subtract those because I have to make sure that my two numbers match up. You understand what I'm saying here? There's a lot of kind of blank looking faces. So look at letter A. Everybody's on 102 here. Maria's bank statement showed a closing balance of. So in this one right here, this is what I would do. The biggest thing is that you have to recognize what you're talking about. What is the difference between the bank statement and like her register or your register at home? Your register is just your ongoing count at home. The bank statement is what you would get in the mail to explain the same thing. So it says her bank statement showed a closing balance of $1,383.53. And again, I would tell myself that this is my bank statement. The bank statement is always a statement I'm going to get that comes from the mail. Okay? It says the outstanding items were a deposit of $312.09, check number 278 for $174, and check number 280 for $32.78. Oh, sorry, I was doing two different problems. My fault. Sorry. Letter A was no outstanding deposits and 2 outstanding checks. So if you look back up on top, what am I going to do with outstanding checks in that little yellow thing? Did I add them or did I subtract them out? I subtracted them out. So from my bank statement, I'm going to take and subtract $129.45 and $87.39. Okay, here's the question. This is where you got to actually kind of think. Why am I subtracting this out from my bank statement? If these are outstanding checks, they're going to come out later, and they're going to come out of your account, but the bank just doesn't know about them because they basically missed the statement. They kind of crossed paths in the mail in a sense. Okay, so on my register at home, I already know that I wrote those checks. So my number would be lower than what I had on my bank statement because the bank doesn't know about these yet, but I already know about them. Does that make sense? Okay, so that's why I'm subtracting these two. So what would my register say? After I subtract those, this answer should be what I have in my register at home. Okay? Anybody do it?
1166.69.
1166. Point what?
69.
Thank you. So this answer right here and the answer at home should be the exact same thing. Okay? So that's what you're doing. You're trying to reconcile or make things right. And so that the two totals at the end are exactly the same. Okay? So, look at B. B says, Xavier had a closing balance of $793. The outstanding items were a deposit of $312, a check of check 278 for a 174, and check 280 for 3278. So, what am I going to do here?
793.57 plus 312.09 minus 174.85 minus 32.78.
Awesome. So, again, this is my balance. These are outstanding deposits, outstanding checks. So the thing that you have to tell yourself is if I have anything outstanding and it's a deposit, I'm going to add it to my bank statement. I'm going to subtract it from my bank statement total. Make sense? Yeah? All right. So the next section, they just talk about other things that could be included. So the other things that could be included would be a service charge. Anytime that you hear a service charge, am I going to add or subtract? Subtract. They're billing me for something. Okay? If I get interest, yes, there could be bad interest, but in this case, interest is always a good thing. It's me accumulating money. So that's what happens in C and D. We'll go through those in just a second. When it says reconciliation problems, my problems are going to be these things right here. These are the most common problems. Forgetting to record a transaction. So again, over the weekend, you forgot to write things down. All right? Switching numbers in a transaction. So if it was 37, you were going really fast and you wrote 73 instead. Happens a lot, right? Maybe you added or subtracted wrong. Even with a calculator. Right now? Happens once in a while. But my biggest problem is if I'm doing and there's some weeks, like right now, I don't have time to put it in there, so I do it at the end of the week. And I have a bunch of debits, so I'm subtracting, and then I get my paycheck, and it should be added. Well, I just subtract that again because I'm going so fast. So it happens because but that's why you get these things, and you can do some reconciliations. You transfer your total wrong to the next page. So on your register at home, maybe you have to flip it over, or you have to actually turn the page, and you just copied the number wrong. Happens quite a bit. Not doing your interest amount, not paying any service fees. We just kind of talked about those in that last section. And then we've already talked about these. Chloe was talking about the bills. Jeff brought up your subscriptions and stuff. Not knowing when your check is deposited, maybe. Most of us are going to know when we get paid, right? We hope so. So you might have to do that. And then knowing when your bank will do all this is a big thing too. Does your bank take 2 days off over the weekend? Most of them do. They're not going to do any transactions on Saturday and Sunday. Doesn't mean you can't go in on Saturday and give them money, or take something out of the ATM. It just might not get calculated until Monday. Okay, so over the weekend, over holidays, these things might come up. But these are common reconciliation problems. Okay, so this is the time where you gotta kind of go slow and look at this. But let's go back to C on page 103. Mildred's previous check register balance was $727. Her bank statement showed. So this is a huge thing right here. Notice what it says in this problem right here. It says her check register balance. Her balance. So when it's the check register balance, check register is what you have at home. Check register. Whenever you see the word register, this is going to be your home version of this. If you do this version. Again, we've talked about this before. But her check register said that she had $727.92 left. Then it says her bank statement showed a service charge. So in the mail, she got a bank statement. And on that bank statement, it shows that she has a service fee, and I think it said interest, right? Okay, so if it's a service fee, what am I going to have to do to my home version of that? Subtract it. So I would subtract out $18.90, but I would what? Add my interest, which is $1.60. And again, notice the interest. That's probably a pretty good interest for a checking account. I'm not saying it's good, but this is a good example that you're probably not going to get a whole lot from your interest. Okay? But again, you have to recognize these two vocabulary words again. Okay? The bank statement, it comes in the mail. Your check register is what you do at home. And that'll be really key for your quiz and test when you're going through this. Okay? And then you would just do your math, right? Everybody okay with math? Okay. Letter D, I think basically the same thing. Ludwig had a balance of $457.38 in his check register. So again, if that's said, that's what he has at home, right? His checking account does not pay interest. And again, that's not uncommon either. But he had a service charge of $768. Again, so he got charged for something. I would subtract it out. Okay? So turn the page. 2 pages to 106. So now we're going to actually try to do this. So you got to read real careful and make sure that you understand what is being said here. Okay, so we're in letter E. On January 30th, your check register balance is 107.87. So what does that mean?
That's what you calculated.
That's what I calculated at home. So again, I would make sure that I write these things down. What letter are we on? E. Thank you. So, register.
107.
Bank statement. So again, I want to make sure that at the end, these two things are the exact same number. And what was this, sir?
107.87.
107.87. Okay? Somebody read out loud what it says.
On January 30th, your check register balance is 107.87, and your bank statement balance is 161.96.
Hold up. 16196.
Interest earned of 43 cents. And an ATM deposit of $56 also appeared on the statement, but had not been recorded in your register.
Okay, stop. Say it again now. Read that sentence again.
Interest earned of 43 cents and an ATM deposit of $56 also appeared on the statement, but you had not recorded in the register.
Okay, so what do you think you do with those two numbers? To my register. So what was the interest?
It was 43 cents.
43 cents. And again, this is where you might want to write down your transaction. My transaction in this case was interest that I didn't know about. Next one, what was it?
It was $56 of ATM deposit.
Deposit.
Mm-hmm.
So ATM deposit. Now this is where you could do this in a couple different versions too. You could have the columns where you had a debit column, a credit column, and then a running total. Or you could just do it like this where you're adding straight along. Okay? Go ahead. Everybody okay with those two though? And understand why you put them in this one and not that one? Because the bank statement told you about those two. Okay? Keep going.
You also find that check 307 for $35.29 had been entered in the register as $32.95. Reconcile the checking account.
Okay. So the last one is the one that confuses people a lot. So check number, what'd you say?
307.
Number 307.
For $35.29.
$35.29, okay?
Have it entered in the register as $32.95.
$32.99. All right, so if this is what the bank statement says, and this is what we thought, what do we have to do?
Find the difference and then.
Find the difference, okay, perfect. Somebody do the math, please. 234. Okay, so now, do I need to take this away from myself or give this back to myself?
Give it back. Take it away because.
No, yeah, you take it away,
Less.
it's $35.
This is what it was supposed to be, this is what
Yeah, you take it.
I wrote it as, right?
Yeah, you take it.
So I made the mistake. So I'm going to subtract $2.34.
Yep.
All right. Somebody add and subtract all that, please.
No.
And hopefully, my numbers are the same.
So what is the register exactly?
The register is what I have at home. It's a running total that I'm doing at home.
So it's just like what's in your wallet.
No, it's like a,
It's like your, it's like when you do your own paper statements, zero,
yeah, do you do that?
Right now.
Something like this. Something like this you could do at home.
Oh, yeah,
So
like a
every-
little book they gave you?
Yeah. So every transaction that you would do, then you would say, did I add it to my account or subtract it? That's what my register is, that little book at home. And then this is gonna come into the mail, and I wanna make sure that they're the same.
161.96.
So we are right. Right? And again, that's our goal every single time, that those two numbers are exactly the same. Make sense?
So on like a word for like a test or something?
You'll have to do this, that exact same problem.
You just write that as the answer?
Yep. And I would take the time to write both of those things out.
Yeah.
Yes. But I think the next one that we'll do tomorrow, because we're out of time already, is that you'll have to maybe have an outstanding deposit or check too, so then your bank statement is wrong. It's not wrong, it just doesn't know about it. So then you'll have to do that one and match them up together.
Yeah.
Okay? So we'll do one more tomorrow, and then you can work on it tomorrow. Yes.
Okay, so what period is it?
It is fifth now.
Oh.
Yes.